Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you don't have to miss on any of our interesting videos. Now in this video, I want us to talk about what Trump has done so far. I want us to specifically talk about him revoking the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order of 1965, which is sparking widespread outrage and concern. Now this order, signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson, prohibited discrimination in hiring and employment based on race, color, religion, gender, or national origin. For decades, it has protected the rights of marginalized communities and assured equal access to job opportunities. Now, the revocation of this order has left many feeling betrayed and vulnerable, particularly in the Black community. As one sister puts it, "Blacks for Trump, are you proud of yourselves? You're feeling good about yourselves now that the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was revoked." Now, her words cut deep, highlighting the painful reality that this decision has erased decades of progress and restored systemic barriers to equality. Now, we will explore this critical issue, and we'll also take a look into the implications of Trump's executive order and the potential consequences for marginalized communities. We'll also examine the possibility of revoking or overturning these orders through the courts. So with that said, let's take a look at these videos. I will be right back.
Blacks for Trump. Are you proud of yourselves? You feeling good about yourself now? Now that your boredom went in there and revoked the Civil Rights Act of 65. He just erased the Civil Rights Act. That same act that gave us even footing in the job market. That same act that made them include us in the hiring process in those jobs. Because before the Civil Act was completed, we didn't have a snowball's chance in hell of getting some of the positions that now Black people hold. And it's not a hands up. It's not giving an unqualified candidate a chance. It's giving qualified candidates a chance. Because the system was set up to always keep them down, to always not include them, to always make sure that you never get on certain levels. Well, that is back. Republicans for Trump, Black Republicans for Trump, y'all might as well go ahead and hang them goddamn suits up. Yeah, the suits y'all was swagging in and all y'all little executive positions, all in those presidents and vice presidents and all of that. Get ready. Get ready. Because they're going to snatch those damn positions as well. So you can get ready to put them damn suits in mothballs. Just like all our other rights you guys sold us out for. All those years that our ancestors suffered, imprisoned, burnt out of their homes, burnt out of their communities, just to stand up and say, hey, we deserve just as many rights in this country that we built as the Palm people do. And because the Palm people put it in writing in the Constitution that all Americans are entitled to the American dream, we made them stand up to that and include us in Americans, because damn it, we are Americans. But thanks to you, Sambos, thanks to you, thanks to you, sellouts, selfish, self-centering sellouts, we lost our Civil Rights Act and everything that detailed in that, or everything that entailed in that. We lost it. On his second day, he wiped out our rights. And then I had a Sambo in my comments the other day that I deleted and blocked, talking about why are Americans hating on what's good for America. Donald Trump is great for America. Proud Trump supporter. Well, you proud Trump supporter? You keep that pride when they shove you in a lesser position. You keep that pride when you can't walk through certain doors anymore. You keep that pride when they tell you got to sit in the back. You keep that pride when they snatch everything our ancestors fought and gave their life for us to have today. You are a bunch of sellouts. You just like those ignorant slaves that turned in other slaves for a hot biscuit, for an extra hot biscuit. Those are your ancestors. Those are the ones you came from. It's showing up. Your spirit says it all, baby. You just like them sellouts back in the day. So I hope whatever is coming our way, I hope you fools on the front line, you sit up and took the word of a man that has shown disdain for black people his entire life. Y'all shucked and jived and grinned up face and talked down to your own people. For what? How much longer you think you're going to be making them six figures? How much longer you think you're going to be able to hold them titles? Because it was only the Civil Rights Act that gave you those opportunities to get those titles. Because the white people were not going to allow you on that level. Qualified or not, degree or not, experience or not, they weren't going to let you in that door. And you just went out and slammed the door on us. Are you proud? You still feeling good? Is that tax cut you gonna get now, is that as sweet as it was before we just lost our damn rights? Before he just took them from us. It took us to 1965 to get in writing that we have equal rights, that we are equal citizens, that we are equal American. It took to 1965 to get that. And in 2 days it's gone. You have helped him push us back to Jim Crow. I want you to feel real good about that. I want all that pride, all that gusto, all that testosterone y'all had walking around here talking about blacks for Trump. I want you to keep that same energy when they got you shining his goddamn shoes. I want you to keep that same energy when these cops come out here and bash your damn head in, if not brains out. You keep that same pride for Trump supporter energy. I want that to be on your headstone. Here lies a proud Trump supporter who was our cop, who Trump gave complete immunity. I want all on your headstone. When you out here in these streets because you have lost everything, and don't think it can't happen. When you go to work and they tell you your job is no longer available, that we no longer have a need for this position, and they're only telling you that to wipe you out, reestablish the position and give it to a white man. Where you gonna be? Blacks for Trump? You still feeling good about getting that little tax cut on them little money? You still feeling good? Well, what else was he supposed to give y'all? I'm sorry, I don't know what y'all hell was. Oh, I know. Y'all feel good because he saying anybody paying child support can carry the child during the year. Can carry the child on their taxes at the end of the year. That's an even swap out for you. I'm trying to figure out, what was it that he had that was so brass and shiny that it made you turn your back on your entire race? Whatever it is, you better hold to it so tight. You better hold to it so dear that it's going to get you through these next years that this man has planned for us. And as you can see coming out the pipe, they're not good plans. So whatever it is, you walking around here with your swag and boasting Donald Trump and you got all in your car windows, whatever it is, you better hope that can sustain you for what he finna put on you. Because you have nobody but you. Everybody that knows you voted for Trump, as far as we concerned, you are Trump. We have no empathy. We have no sympathy. We will not be standing on the sidelines cheering for you or rooting for you or marching for you. You guys are sellouts. And sellouts are on their own. You are no longer part of our community. So good luck. Because we don't have your back on this one.
What's going on out there in social media land? Of course, this is your boy, Miko Evans, entrepreneur extraordinaire, and hoping that you're doing well. For me to have to come online at 12 minutes after the hour of 1 a.m. Thursday morning, January 23rd, you know it must be something very important for me to share with you. A lot of people are up in arms about not just the many executive orders that Donald Trump has signed, but what these executive orders entail. And it is very important for people to study to show themselves approved. Okay. Do your own homework, do your own research. All you have to do is Google it. Okay. All you have to do is go to major universities that specialize in public policy, political science, and civics. Okay. You can actually go to the whitehouse.gov yourself and just download the Constitution and read it word for word, highlight. You know what I'm saying? Share it with people that have experience and expertise in public policy and legislation. And there are some things that they will tell you. Case in point, someone asked, can presidential executive orders be overturned or be null and void? Like both legislative statutes and the regulations promulgated by government agencies, executive orders are subject to judicial review and may be overturned if the orders lack support by statute or the Constitution. Okay. Courts may strike down executive orders not only on the grounds that the president lacked authority to issue them, but also in cases where the order is found to be unconstitutional in substance. Not just the Supreme Court, courts. Not just the Supreme Court. Courts, state courts, local and state courts. Okay, they say courts may strike down executive orders not only on the grounds that the president lacked authority to issue them, but also in cases where the order is found to be unconstitutional in substance. Okay. Then they went further. This particular website, fjc.gov. Okay. This next one that I'm about to describe, I think, came from Wikipedia. Donald Trump signed a total of 220 executive orders during his first term, okay, from January 2017 to 2021. As of January 2025, only 72 of them have been revoked, many by his successor, of course, former President Joe Biden. Then it says that who can override a presidential executive order? It went further down. Okay, Congress has the power to overturn an executive order by passing legislation that invalidates it and can also refuse to provide funding necessary to carry out certain policy measures contained with the order or legitimize policy mechanisms. Okay? Which means these executive orders have to go through judicial review, and they can be not supported, and they can also be overturned by the courts and through Congress, especially if they violate the United States Constitution, even if it's a constitutional amendment. Okay? Executive orders can be overturned and overturned and can be considered null and void if it violates the Constitution. Okay? I just read it to you. Do your homework. For those of you who's supposed to be so-called Christian, it says study to show yourself approved. A workman needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay? So it's unfortunate that many of you all think that you got the power, but you do not have the power to change the Constitution without the approval of Congress and the Senate. Okay? You have to have a majority vote. And if I know what I know, as far as when it comes to, regardless if Congress and the House, Congress and the Senate may have even majority Republican, what I do know is true Republicans, not the MAGA Republicans, true Republicans who are very, very staunch when it comes to the Constitution, they ain't finna have that shit. Is it the Constitution or is it Trump? Your choice. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of y'all need to really start realizing what and who the Antichrist really is. It's unfortunate a lot of y'all have been fooled. So to those of you that's tripping a word about executive orders, do your homework. These executive orders are not set in stone until they go through judicial review to make sure that these executive orders are not in violation of the United States Constitution. Period. It ain't up for argument. It ain't up for debate. It ain't up for discussion. It's the law. Since you're about law and order. And so it is. Comment below.
Now, on his first day in office, Trump signed an anti-trans executive order proclaiming there are only two genders, which was later debunked by United States Representative Sarah McBride and ordered the overturning of the birthright citizenship. Now, Trump went one step further and revoked policies which boosted diversity, equality, and inclusion for historically marginalized communities, including Latino people, Native Americans, and Black Americans. Now, the White House said in a statement, the injection of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, into our institutions has corrupted them by replacing hard work, merit, and equality with a divisive and dangerous preferential hierarchy. On Tuesday, 21st January, Trump revoked Executive Order 11246, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. President Johnson signed the original order on 24th September 1965, 2 years after Rev. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial. Now, the Equal Employment Opportunity Order prohibited discrimination in the federal workplace based on race, color, religion, and national origin by those organizations receiving federal contracts and subcontracts. It was updated 2 years later to include gender among the list of attributes. Now, Trump's order stated, these illegal DEI and DEIA policies also threaten the safety of American men, women, and children across the nation by diminishing the importance of individual merit, aptitude, hard work, and determination when selecting people for jobs and services in key sectors of American society, including all levels of government and the medical, aviation, and law enforcement communities. Now, Trump has also made it compulsory for federal employees to return to the office full-time. The 20th January presidential action read, heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis. It adds, however, that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions they deem necessary. Now, the order declares that it is the policy of the United States to protect the civil rights of all Americans and to promote individual initiative, excellence, and hard work. I therefore order all executive departments and agencies to terminate all discriminatory and illegal preferences, mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance, regulations, enforcement, actions, consent, orders, and requirements. I further order all agencies to enforce our long-standing civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. Now, as part of this order, Executive Order 11246 is revoked and the agency within the U.S. Department of Labor that is responsible for implementing EO 11246 is required to immediately cease promoting diversity, holding federal contractors and subcontractors responsible for taking affirmative action, and allowing or encouraging federal contractors and subcontractors to engage in workforce balancing based on race, color, gender, sexual preference, religion, or national origin. Now, as the obligations of government contractors and subcontractors under EO 11246 are contractual, there are many questions as to how the revocation of the executive order will be implemented. Government contractors currently undergoing compliance reviews should consult with their legal counsel as to how to proceed. The same is true for contractors currently subject to cancellation agreements with OFCCP. Contractors under audit may want to hold off on responding to information requests pending further guidance from OFCCP or advice from legal counsel. The order does provide that contractors that wish to continue to comply with the current regulations may, at a minimum, do so for 90 days from the date of the order. It should be noted that Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, protecting the disabled and the Vietnam-era veterans, Readjustment Act of 1974, protecting certain veterans, and OFCCP's enforcement of these laws do not appear to be in any way impacted by the new executive order. Now, the executive order also includes provisions seeking to end so-called DEI discrimination and preferences throughout the government and in the private sector. Now, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 hastened the end of legal Jim Crow. It secured African Americans equal access to restaurants, transportation, and other public facilities. It enabled blacks, women, and other minorities to break down barriers in the workplace. It also made access to equal education in a reality for the many Southern and Northern Black Americans who began attending integrated schools in the wake of the Act's enforcement. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Civil Rights Act of 1968 expanded these protections to voting and housing and provided new protections against racially motivated violence. The Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 and President Johnson's War on Poverty complemented these civil rights milestones by attacking the economic inequalities that had so long accompanied racial discrimination and exclusion. Honestly, the revocation of the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order of 1965 has opened the floodgates to a disturbing resurgence of discriminatory practices. It's as if the clock has been turned back, and we are witnessing a blatant attempt to restore the systemic barriers that have historically prevented Black people from advancing in the workplace. The message is very clear. Certain positions and levels of power are off limits to Black people. The Old Boys network is reasserting itself, and the door to equal opportunities is being slammed shut. It's a reminder that despite the progress made since the civil rights era, there are still those who are determined to maintain the status quo of racial inequality. The consequences of this revocation will be far-reaching and devastating. Black people will once again be forced to navigate a workplace landscape where their skills, qualifications, and experience are constantly questioned and devalued. The playing field will be titled against them, and the already existing racial disparities in employment will only worsen. It's a bleak outlook, but it's not without hope. The Black community has always found ways to resist and overcome adversity, and this moment will be no exception. I think by now the reality is setting in for Blacks who supported Trump, and it's very clear that their loyalty won't shield them from the devastating consequences of his policies. The revocation of the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order of 1965 is a prime example, and this order protected marginalized communities, including Black Americans, from employment discrimination. Its elimination would disproportionately affect Black people who make up nearly 19% of federal workers. Now, Trump's actions are not only a betrayal of the Black community, but also a reminder that his presidency has been marked by racist and discriminatory behavior. From his comments on the Central Park Five to his attacks on Black American politicians and media personalities, Trump's rhetoric has consistently perpetuated harmful stereotypes and fueled racial tensions. The irony is that his policies will ultimately harm the very people who supported him. The Black community will be disproportionately affected by the loss of jobs, opportunities, and protections that these policies provide. It's a harsh reality check for those who thought that supporting him would somehow insulate them from these negative consequences of his actions. But hey, here we are. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do you, our viewers, have to say? Share your thoughts, your contributions as well in the comment section. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next videos. We bring you another video.